For this problem, we want to be able to take the integral, the definite integral of this function. Now, if you let u be equal to x or x minus 6, you're going to see that, well, it's not going to work out. It's not going to make this thing any simpler. What I mean is that let u be equal to the square root of x minus 6. Otherwise, we can write that as x minus 6 raised to the power 1 half. Then we take the derivative. Bring down the 1 half, leave the inside, minus 1, and then the derivative of the inside is just going to be 1, and then we cannot forget that dx. So 1 half x minus 6 to the negative 1 half dx. Now we attempt to substitute everything back in. Well, if we substitute everything back in, let's say that's some limit of integration from a to b. I don't know what that is. Again, when we do a substitution, the limit of integration change. It's not going to be the same. So we substitute that back in, and this is what we have for dx. So if we move everything to the left-hand side, we are going to get 2x minus 6 raised to the 1 half du is equal to dx. So if we just substitute in what we have, that's going to be x times u times 2x minus 6 raised to the power of 1 half du. But here we note that x minus 6 to the power 1 half, well, that's just another u, right? U is x minus 6 to the power 1 half. That's the x minus 6 to the power 1 half. That's just another u. Now, if we look at this equation, we see that everything, nearly everything is in terms of u except for that x. So somehow we have to be able to write that x in terms of u. So we are going to go back to our original function. What do we substitute u as? Well, how do we solve for x then? We raise both sides. By 2. U squared plus 6 is equal to x. So x can be rewritten in terms of u as u squared plus 6. Meaning we replace this x with a u squared plus 6. There's 2u there, so that's another u squared. There's a 2 there, so it's just going to be a 2 du. I'm going to pull out that 2. I'm going to find the limit of integration. Since u is equal to x, the square root of x minus 6, the lower limit of integration is going to be given by the square root of 6 minus 6, which is 0. The upper limit is going to be given by, that's a 7. The square root of 7 minus 6 is equal to just 1. So here we have the integral from 0 to 1 of u to the 4th plus 6u squared du. And then that's it. After you make those substitution, all you have to do is work it out. The integral of u to the 4th is 1/5 u to the 5 plus the integral of u squared. Well, that's going to be 6 divided by 3. It's going to be 2 u cubed evaluated from 0 to 1. You plug in 1, you get 2, 1/5 plus 2. You plug in 0, you get nothing. So that's going to be 5, 10, let's see, 10, 1, 11, 22 over 5. So what I want to note about this problem is that sometimes just letting u be equal to an x or letting u be equal to a function is not going to be enough. Sometimes you actually have to solve for the variable in terms of u and then substitute everything back in. This is one of those times. So just keep that in mind. If you find a function to be too complicated, try to perhaps solve for u in terms of the variable and then substitute u back into the function.